Greetings, hello. I'm Connor Fowler,
And I'm Matt Smith.
and you are now listening to Apocalypse Duds. Uh, it has been a time. It has been a hellish time at the school. It's really trying, but you just kind of gotta keep doing it because it's what is right, I guess. Not to be sanctimonious about it, but
Yeah, and
um,
you're only what 2 weeks in, like since you started back or something like that.
yeah, and it's been I think I'm gonna start taking video, like, because the stuff is unbelievable.
Just
Just
like
like
yeah,
little kids like running, just like running and screaming and running and screaming and running and screaming. Like their parents don't even believe them,
right,
believe us when we say what's going on. They're like, no, nah, not my kid. Which it's like
right,
this
right.
everywhere at every school with every
Yeah,
child, right?
it's not my little
So if
Bobby.
you could
He's a
just
precious
imagine.
angel.
Right. And Bobby is like
Yeah,
punching a 5-year-old in the head repeatedly.
Bobby is the
It's just
Bobby is the fucking son of Satan himself, uh,
yeah,
Beelzebub, if you will.
and right, exactly. Um, so we wanted you to, well, I guess we wanted us to say thank you and welcome to our new listeners. We have been advertising and it's really been working. So
Yeah, yeah.
welcome.
We're too stupid to know if followers on Instagram equate to more listens, but hey, thank you for following along and giving our stupid little show a shot.
To the extent that anything matters, like the metrics are important at all, like it's just it will be good to interact with more people. I mean, that's been the
Totally.
goal of this show
Yeah,
for
yeah,
both of us. I think it's just been meeting people. So
yeah. And if you're a new person and want me to stop making the joke that we never get email, because I think I've done that
I was gonna
basically.
say, send us an email,
I
please.
I think I've done it consistently for the little over
Gotta
a
be about
year
a
that
year.
we have. Yeah, a little over a year. But yeah, shoot us an email. Tell us what you like or don't like, or tell us to go fuck ourselves. We don't care. We like getting
Even if you
nons.
want to say fuck you, yeah, like even if
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
say don't ever say shoot us an email again,
Right,
but
right.
please
Please,
do it.
please send us an
Please
email.
shoot us an
Yeah.
email.
Uh, yeah, I guess I don't have a traditional job. I work for myself selling vintage clothing, as I'm sure everyone is aware. So I do not have the wonderful problems that Connor gets for working in the school system. Um, yeah, I have a little bit easier of a life, and in that easiness, I have had the second band practice for a new band this past Saturday, and man, like starting a band when you're almost 40 versus like starting a band when you're 21 is a vastly different experience, and in a lot of ways, like I don't know, I'm really pumped on how like me and the other two dudes, Grayson and Eric, have kind of gelled, and we spent 4 hours practicing one song, and it's almost done. So, yeah, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have something
Sounds fucking
recorded.
awesome.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you. Yeah, I always get
Yeah,
inspiration
and it's the
at
it's
like
the like it's the like Matt version too, where it's like I figure Matt is holding his phone up to the speaker. It's like I don't know
yeah,
how it's being recorded, but it's like
yeah.
it
It's a
sounds
little
fucking good,
nice.
and it's like not. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it's a
little
little
better.
slapdash. It's
Little slapdash. Like it's just practice shit for right now that I'm showing him. But I'm one of those wonderful night owls that gets inspiration at like 1 in the morning. And if Connor is up or he responds the next morning, he's always a positive, telling me this sounds good. Or if it sucks, he's like, yeah, that's not great. And he and I
yeah.
somehow,
I mean, I would definitely tell you.
yeah, we have almost diametrically opposed musical taste in a lot of ways, but like there's definitely some crossover. And Connor has been a cheerleader for the past, I don't know, 9 months since I started like writing and
Wow,
playing
that's
shit.
so nice of you. Yeah, we have like whatever kind of relationship we have. It's just this good one where we're really supportive of each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I tell Connor when
that's like a part of the show too.
yeah, it's this show is really just like us turning our personal relationship with one another into something. And yeah, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like whenever Connor sends me something that I just absolutely think is heinous, I tell him, and I am now his barometer for things that he thinks are cool, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's terrible. So
Yeah, right. If Matt thinks it sucks, I'm buying it, baby.
yeah,
I'm buying it. Send that to me overnight.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that's what's going on in our world.
The
We have
Apocalypse Duds universe.
the Apocalypse Duds extended universe. Connor wrote something that
Right.
Connor wrote something that I had a really hard time trying to articulate, and so before we get to our wonderful chat with Dick Carroll, um,
Amazing.
amazing, just phenomenal artist, like funny as shit. I don't know.
Super funny. Even for an Australian.
Even but I personally love Australians. Like I don't think I've ever had a bad interaction
So
with
do
Australians.
I, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a joke. It's a joke, right? They are
Yeah.
a stereotypically funny people.
They are. They are. There are no Paul Hogan references, which to my chagrin I withheld during the conversation.
Yeah, we
But
didn't talk Crocodile Dundee
we
somehow.
didn't. I fucking love Crocodile Dundee. It was a very good
That movie is in the Smith collection,
yeah.
along with
It's
The Transformers series.
yeah. I have the
Top
world's
Gun, the
shittiest.
new Top Gun.
The new Top Gun is fantastic. Yeah, I know it's propaganda, but I like it anyway because I have a terrible taste in cinema. But yeah, we talked to Dick about growing up in Australia, walking across the paddock. I don't know how many
Yep,
other
hopping fences.
hopping fences. Yeah, we talked about him like being a punk rock kid, pushing his skateboard around the New South Wales. Him drawing himself as his basically main character in a lot of his illustration, and yeah, it was a really fun little over an hour combo with Dick. But yeah, before we get into that, Connor put into words something that we would like to say.
So, if you've listened to this show in one episode, if you've listened to 5 minutes of this show, I think you already know our stance on the quote situation in Gaza. But we want to be clear, we do not punch down on this show, period. Everyone's humanity is sacrosanct. And I think that kind of sums it up.
Yep. So yeah, if you like what we're doing, we would love a buck or two if you feel so inclined. Connor's Venmo is at Connor-Fowler. His PayPal is connorfowler@gmail.com. And yeah, stick around because I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. And thank you for listening.
You'll get a hearty chuckle or something, whatever they say down there. Crikey and g'day, mate. As they say in the bush, Matt, throw another vegan shrimp on the Barbie and crack open an ice-cold Foster's as we prepare to welcome Australian cartoonist, Australian and cartoon, a man from the land down under, Richard Dick Carroll.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Dick, I have to go on record to tell you that I struck down all of these stupid fucking cliche jokes that Connor wanted to make about Australia.
That's the whole entire point. We looked up the slang words. We know about bludging, okay? This is where we are on the show. It's an educational experience. A vegan shrimp on the Barbie? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Vegan shrimp.
Okay.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be just Yeah, it would be just like Play-Doh.
I am vegan, have had a lot of vegan options. I have never been a seafood person, and so I probably wouldn't even try vegan shrimp. Just so we're clear here.
And
Anyway.
I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it would be based off of. We're not ripping on veganism. I thought it would be funny because I couldn't get Matt to touch a real shrimp,
No,
Shrimp's pretty
no,
weird.
never.
Yeah, that's like a weird a bug on ice.
Which is
Yeah,
bugs.
they're
I don't know why
insects.
everyone's so upset about eating bugs when we're eating bugs all the time. Like
Yeah.
worms are so much grosser than any bug. They're so weird. You like crack
Probably.
open this little shell and suck the inside out. That's fucking
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. It's fucking strange. I've never understood it. Will never understand it. But
I mean, I'll eat it, but then you won't eat like a cricket. What's the difference?
I have eaten crickets. I don't
mean-
like seafood,
No,
so I don't eat seafood. I have
don't like
eaten
seafood?
bugs, but I will not eat seafood.
I always say I don't like seafood, and then I'm like, if I'm near some seafood, I'm like, yeah, I'll eat all of this. I'll eat it.
yeah.
Well, I imagine it's it's like extremely common in Australia. Seafood is like big.
I'm inland, baby, so it doesn't even rain where I come from.
Oh my god! So let's get into that. Where are you from in Australia?
We call it Central West New South Wales, from a town called Dubbo.
Dubbo.
Really,
we love Dubbo.
That's Central West. But it's like the last town on the edge of the great nothing that is Australia.
So I was reading that
there are other
there's
towns, but
terminology for like bands of Australia, right? So like you're in the coastal part of Australia, and then you're in the outback, and then you're in the bush. This I don't know what I was reading, but I was reading something.
I don't know. I don't think there's a difference between the outback and the bush.
Okay. They're synonymous.
Yeah, we would say the bush.
So there's
I'm the bush.
You are.
I am. There's like a mountain range on the east side, on the east coast of Australia, the Great Dividing Range, and basically on the east of that is like pretty lush and green, and then on the west of that mountain range, it's becomes gradually more deserty and
barren.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. In deserts, I've never seen a desert in my life.
It's not really a desert, but yeah, it's desertish. There's plants, but they're very small.
Dick, have you been to the southwest of the U.S., like New Mexico, Arizona,
yes.
West Texas?
Yes.
Is it kind of similar, like where you come from, to that type of terrain? Okay. So it's somehow worse than living in like 125-degree heat with, it's a dry heat, Right.
The plants are so different because there's no Australian plants are only in Australia pretty much. So.
Yeah.
There's like parts of California which feel very Australian, but not like where I grew up, where it's like where there are like palm trees that are probably Australian and gum trees, all of these probably terribly invasive plants that planted like 8 years ago, thinking that they were like good for the environment, but actually they were terrible for the environment. But when I walk around there, I'm like, oh, this feels like Australia. The colors different in Australia. I mean, the sun is like brighter, and the colors are brighter. The ground is like red.
Yeah.
Like that red clay, and then the trees are not a real green, and they're very sparse, so they don't have that tree shape. I never understood why people would draw trees that way in cartoons. Do you know what I mean? That like
for sure.
The way that I still draw a tree.
Yeah, well, that's what trees look like. But where I grew up, trees don't look like that. That's they're super weird, and they're like this blue, green, gray. They're not really very green.
Interesting. Yeah, as someone that lives in the southern part of the United States, I am very well familiar with red clay, and if it's anything like the shit here, then God help everyone.
Cool,
I think so as well. So you're from New South Wales. Where do you live now, Dick?
I live in Queens, in New York City.
Nice. What up?
Forest Hills.
Forest Hills. All right. Get down with that.
I was a fucking Queens. That's what we call it.
Fucking Queens. Yeah.
All caps.
I was a Bushwick, very close to Ridgewood resident for a few years, and like I fucking love both like Eastern Brooklyn and like Eastern Queens. I don't know. Like there's some cool shit there.
Queens is cool.
Yeah.
Culture is cool. It's just like diversity is. It makes everything good.
Yeah, Queens is sick. And my wife's parents are sort of from nearby. They don't live here anymore. They live actually closer to Yukon or in Silver Spring, Maryland. But
Sure.
feels cool being like from where they're from. They're around doing
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
totally.
Yeah, it's
Queens.
How good is the
But I lived
food
in
in your
Brooklyn.
neighborhood?
It's
What part of Brook?
medium.
It's medium, really?
It's medium. It's medium. It's like
That-
a really nice part of Queens. It's like it's it's not gentrified. It's ungentrifiable, I say, because
oh,
it's like one of those parts of town that was never had an up and down period. It was always nice. It was
yeah,
built in
gotcha.
the 30s or 40s, and it was nice then, and it's still nice now. Probably upper middle class. This is one of the wealthier neighborhoods in Queens. So
Oh,
the food is
interesting.
like it's fine. The food's fine. We
Yeah,
have this
it's
sort
a
of
lot of
we have that middle ground. We have some good food, but not as good as like the other parts of Queens where there are like a lot of migrants.
right,
yeah,
right.
tons of
Yeah,
Some over
so
there.
it's like a lot of white people food, basically.
It's just like a lot of mid restaurants, you know what I mean?
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to
yeah.
shit
Oh
on
yeah.
anywhere, but it reminds me of DC food kind of. Like a
Ugh,
mid it reminds me of
disgusting.
like a mid city. Like the kind of
Bland,
food you get like
gray.
pretty good, too expensive, and like not that interesting.
Yeah,
It
You
yeah.
costs
know,
$50 and it might as well be frozen.
yeah, it's like it's good, but
I don't have a fondness
yeah.
for the district. You
So
might
yeah, no, we have
you
some
might
spots.
detect.
I mean, we get a lot of bagels, like a lot of
Oh yeah.
places that bake on site, and
God,
they're all
I
here. A few
I
different
I
Chinese
miss
spots.
I miss the fucking New York bagels. Like just the bodega on the corner with a deli has amazing
Oh
fucking
yeah,
bagels. Like
New York
I
bagels.
was having this conversation with a friend. Like in Atlanta, there's one, or actually, there's like an old Jewish spot that's like constantly packed. I think they may have two locations at this point, but they've been in business since like the 50s. So, they know what's up. And then
Yeah,
in the neighborhood where I mostly like go out, hang out or whatever, there's a place that makes really good bagels. I will give them this. But I called them gentrified bagels because it's like this artisanal
yes.
bullshit, and it's like $9 for a bagel with
$15. Yeah.
with like avocado spread on it. And I'm like, guys, dude, just like make
Dude,
traditional
they're
fucking
expensive here
bagels.
too now.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, dude. Like we can go to classic Queen spots where, well, that's everywhere where I live. Is no one cool is coming out here to like hit up the bagels. These spots are all
Right.
good. No, there's nothing cool out here, and every spot is good. But we go out to like on the other side of the big park into this great bagel spot called Utopia Bagels, which might be the
Right.
best bagel spot in New York City. I don't even know what
Ooh.
neighborhood it's in. And that place is so busy. And like a plain bagel with cream cheese is
Yeah.
probably $4,
Okay.
Perfect.
maybe
Okay.
4.50. No, that's expensive,
That
dude. It's
that is
like
Really?
expensive.
it's like bagels and rent, dude. When I moved to New
Yeah.
York, I could get a plain bagel with plain cream cheese for $2 or a dollar
Yeah.
fifty, and that
Dollar
was only
fifty.
10 years ago. And now it's three times that much. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like a
Which
lot. It's a big
comparatively
difference.
to the gentrified bagels in Atlanta, that is definitely cheap. But yeah, like
Yes.
the spot that I used to go
Yeah, but like a
to,
bagel with lox and cream cheese, you're gonna pay $16,
yeah,
$17.
Yeah,
totally.
which is just
Yeah.
an absurdity to pay that much money for breakfast. They tried to open one on Greenmount Avenue here in Baltimore, which is like a drug corridor basically, and it was $15 to $20 a bagel. They were open for like a month.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dick, you
Yeah,
Riddance.
bagels,
we
baby.
like sometimes on the show we start with a what we call the ensemble investigation, which is what are you wearing today. So we saw some cool
Oh,
shit in the
nice.
intro video. Let's have what you got, head to toe to foot, what, or sorry, toe to head, whatever.
I'll do toe to head. I'm wearing shoes because I don't really care about wearing shoes inside. I'm one of those people, and I just went
Okay.
outside. Normally, I would be wearing UGG boots, an
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Australian
All right.
classic, and it's
Right.
Australian
cold.
classic.
Fuck! I didn't bring.
I wear them inside. I'm not wearing them right now because I just was outside. So I'm wearing plain-toed bluches, the all-in-one on the Barry last. You know the
Nice.
one
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
big sole. I'm wearing red socks, Levi's. I wear jeans when I'm working because I can get paint and stuff on them and not I mean, I don't really care about getting paint on my dress pants, but
Right.
you know, you sort of
Looks
like
less
you
cool
fuck them
on
up
a
a
dress
bit, the
pant
dress
than on
pants.
a.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like sitting in them. They just get like a bit fucked up. So I just wear like the same pair of jeans every day. So I'm wearing those Levi's, like the LVC. They're actually the last of the Cone Mills denim. Remember when they sold them back to
Yeah.
the factory? Whenever 7 or 8 years ago, and the Levi's stores were just like blitzing all of their LVC stuff that were Cone Mills. They just wanted to get rid of it to
Of
not have to
course.
talk about it. I guess it kind of makes sense. Because it's just,
Yeah.
I get it, but it's still like, wow, this is like the best stuff you guys sell, and you just like fuck 80% off, 90% off. So I picked it up.
Yeah.
And then
That
for
sounds very
33,
similar.
the waist. You got
Yeah, that sounds
you
very
scored
similar
some
to the
as well.
first pair of. Like I bought my first LVCs, I think in 2008, and it was the same kind of shit. Like into the
Yeah.
season sale, everything's 90% off, and you're like, really? This is
Crazy.
how it works?
It's like these though.
Yeah.
So I've got those on. They never fade. I put them in the dryer. Like I wash them in the machine. Nothing.
Yeah.
They fade never. So they're slowly breaking in. I've had them for like 6 years. That's it. I'm wearing a
Man
green
after
t-shirt
my own heart.
and a yellow Shetland.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's it.
The Shetland is key.
Great. Yeah, it's a great sweater,
Yes.
if I do say
fade.
so.
The sweater's very stained with paint
Yeah.
and stuff. So that's
Hey,
fine.
that
Also
makes
sick,
it
yeah.
that makes it cooler. Just out of curiosity, what LVC cut is that?
It's like the 55 or something.
Oh,
I
nice.
can never
Okay.
remember. They shuffle them around a bit, but yeah, I think it's the 1955 or 54,
Right.
something like that. Yeah, it's just a
Gotcha.
classic wide leg.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The waist is huge. They're tagged
Always.
at 33. The waist must be actually 36.
yeah,
No joke.
yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah, the quality control was always very, very weird with LVC. You could try on, or Levi's in general, you can try on two identical size pairs and they will both fit completely different. Like, it drives me
I think
insane.
that's cool.
It's hard
Yeah.
that kids can't keep it straight.
Well, they shrink, right? Especially
Right.
secondhand.
Mhm.
But the new ones, these didn't
Yeah.
really shrink at all.
Right. Which is
crazy.
weird. Because I've had pairs that were
Yeah.
tagged like a 31 and they measured like a 34 and then they would shrink to a 28. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing here? I don't understand it.
That's it. Well, when I bought them, I was at 33. And I
Right,
was like,
right.
I'm going to just fucking throw these in the dryer and shrink them up and they'll be great. And then
Right.
they were huge. And now I'm much closer to whatever their untagged waist is. We don't
Right.
have to measure it.
It's nice to grow into something in that way, though.
All my
Yeah.
other jeans have sort of, they're in the bottom of the drawer. You don't get rid of them because you're gonna trim down one day. But
Right.
Totally.
Right. Exactly
Yeah.
right. You just have to have 15 articles of clothing that you will never, ever, ever fit into, even if you cut off pieces of your body.
that's it. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So what, obviously you've had an interest in clothing for a while. We have asked in the past what your first clothing memory is, but I really after listening to another podcast that I love, they have a similar question about music. But what do you remember the first piece of clothing or footwear or whatever that had an impact on you?
Oh, an impact. I'm not really sure. I don't think I really cared about clothes until I was like a teenager.
Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
totally fine.
That's like the age, though, basically. Because
Yeah.
no one is 8 and is like, I want to fucking wear these
I
pants.
want to go into it. I have this memory. Well, I'm not sure if it's a memory or if I have just thought about it since, but I had this shirt that was like my dressy shirt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sort of really grew up in like a lower middle class family. And we would have like one good shirt that we'd wear if we were like going to the RSL club, which is like a diner that's attached to a casino.
Oh,
Called
shit.
a club. Technically, it's a club, but it's really more like, I mean, you have to pay. It's probably $3 or $4 a year to be a member.
Right.
We used to go there for like the $2 roast dinners on Sundays, and I had this shirt, which was like an Adidas rugby shirt, and it had
Mhm.
big vertical stripes. I was probably like 10 or 11, like bright blue, white, and black, and that was like my dressiest shirt. I would wear it to like someone's wedding, any like the fanciest events I would go to, but I would have to wear it if we went to the RSL club. That was my that
Nice.
like
Okay.
mid-90s Adidas probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet though. I mean, like,
The dressy rugby.
yeah,
Solid.
yeah, exactly. Because you're a little more formal. You're a little less casual. It's a middle shirt.
It's a middle shirt.
Um, what about the kinds of stuff that you saw while you were growing up? I mean, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked skaters. I was a
Okay,
skater. We didn't really have
you
skaters.
were.
I was a skater from maybe when I was like 11 or 12 or something. And I liked that sort of thing in the late 90s, you know.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And I like music and stuff, but like looking around, I mean, the stuff I hated is like the stuff that I wear right now. We associated.
Right. Yeah.
It's ironic that like the kids that came from farms were the rich kids. It's not what you necessarily would think. So the farm kids were the rich kids, and they all dress really preppy in an
Hmm.
Australian sort of way. They wore Ralph Lauren and like jeans and stuff. We didn't wear
Sure.
jeans when we were at all because we were like, we're not those
Because you
farm kids.
didn't want to be
Those kids
perceived.
suck. They
Right.
suck. So yeah, we wouldn't even wear jeans. I remember making a pact with one of my friends, Josh Wells. I'm gonna name drop on here.
Nice.
That we would
Solid.
never wear slim jeans because that's what the farm boys would wear.
Wow, that is really wild.
Saddle
'Cause
friggers, we called them, like they were jerking off saddles.
saddle
Right.
friggers. Gotta write that one down.
Saddle
Well, it's
friggers.
like in South America and in Latin America, like the farms are where the rich people are.
Yeah, same. So, and the farm kids would go to like private schools in the city, like boarding schools and stuff. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I like those guys now. I left the city and they're like fun to hang around, but I didn't like them at the time. I didn't like them in 1995. You know.
Yeah. Of course.
No, it's
of
odd. I
course.
mean, I had a similar feeling about like Ralph and about Preppy when I was a boy too, because it was like these people are not like me. These people do not like me. So like, what am
Right.
I going to
Well, it is,
dress up
man.
like them for? And now here I am, right?
Yeah, it was kind of fun to later on. We just dressed that way. Me and some friends, we would just dress that way as a joke, kind of like
Oh, totally.
like an ironic in joke.
Right.
We
And
were
that's
like,
what it's all
yeah, we're
about.
like going to like punk and noise shows, but we're like fucking dressed up.
Yeah,
You know,
I was at the
you
grindcore
guys
show
suck.
with a
You guys
tie
think you're
on.
so cool.
Right.
You all look the same, man.
Right.
With the pig
Well, but that is
yeah, with
punk
tie on.
in the punk scene is to look like not everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. So it felt like we fit in that way.
Totally. I told Connor a story, I think it was yesterday, about my sophomore year in high school. You know, I'd started driving. I was very into like punk and Christian ska that we discussed on the last fucking episode.
Christian Scott.
Yeah. We've already been down this
We
road.
don't have to get into it.
I don't want to get into it. And like you know, I was a weirdo in a town of like, you know, 7,000 people. There were like 250
Nice.
people in my high school. Yeah, I am a weirdo. But, you know, like, I was into all this shit. And then me and my friends during quote unquote Spirit Week, during like the football season, we would have suit day. And so my outfit for suit day, pretty much standard, was a like Stuart Tartan sport coat that I had thrifted. Who knows if it fit well or not. I really hope that there's no documented evidence of this. But
I
then
know, I agree.
There's gotta
All the
be
trash
pictures of
I
it.
used to wear, dude.
yeah.
Trash.
Thank fucking God my parents forbid me to wear big
Trash.
jinkos. Anyway, yeah, so like it was that jacket with
Wait. Were you wearing the Jinkos with the jacket?
No. I was forbid to
Okay.
wear
Get
the
off,
huge.
bro.
I was forbid to wear the huge ones. I could only wear the like normal size ones, which basically fit like Dickies. Anyway, so yeah,
Mhm.
so it was the Stuart jacket, a white button-down shirt from fucking Walmart or something, a skinny black tie, probably also from Walmart or thrifted, black Dickies, and black Chuck Taylors. And I was like, I'm the fucking shit because I'm not dressed like these other assholes. Like, yeah, that's a very punk, like punk.
All thrifting.
Yeah, like, you know, I love hearing other stories that are kind of synonymous in ways. I'm like, yeah, like, dude, wearing a tie and a fucking jacket to a punk show, like that's the ultimate punk.
That's how
And
it
I
is.
look like such a freak.
Yeah, we all
I want to ask before we get into the art thing, what is it like going by Dick? I mean, did you choose it?
Oh.
Was the alternative Richard? I mean, I know that is the alternative, but I'm saying in practical conversational sense.
It's just started as like a pen name that I made up for myself when I was drawing comics. Not even that long ago. I mean, maybe, well, probably 12 years ago, 12 or 13.
Okay.
Which in the scheme of things.
But it doesn't feel that long ago. So no one really called me Dick. My parents, and in Australia, we don't really care about names that much. I don't want to generalize cultural stuff too much, but it feels like in America, people are more uptight about being called the thing they want to be called. And if you don't call them that thing, you're being disrespectful or whatever. But in Australia, the opposite is sort of true. If you come up with a name for someone, even someone you don't know, someone you haven't even talked to before, you could like start calling them something that could be insulting or anything. And it's sort of like a fun way to chat with people. It sort of means that you like them a bit. It's like, oh, you've chosen a name for me, so you like me. So everyone sort of calls everyone different things, but mostly I got called Rick or Ricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are my most normal names. Like that's what my wife calls me. That's what my parents call me. No one really calls me Richard. One or two teachers would call me Richard. And as I got older, I started calling myself Richard more. Not because I wanted to, just because it was sort of my name.
Mm.
And there was this point where I was in primary school. My first bank card, we got like a bank card when we're like 5 years old or whatever. Start saving money with school, something like this. And my bank card said Ricky on it. Didn't have my real name on it. My official bank card, right?
So they had given you a name. Right?
Yeah. And so I had that account my whole life until I was like 18, and I never got my license, which is another punk rock thing I decided to do. Just
hell yeah,
I don't want to drive.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
When
you move to a place where you don't have to
walk everywhere, dude. But no, it sucks to not be able to drive. It would be, but
well, I guess in Queens there are more places to drive.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. But so I had to like change my name at the bank, and it was really hard to go into the bank and try to convince them that my name was actually Richard. They were like, well, "Your name's Ricky. Why would we make this account?" I had to have that piece of documentation to get my ID. And it was super hard to do. And I was like, I know like 3 or 4 of these tellers, since I was a kid. Like they all know me. Can we just make this happen? But it was
so it was a very small town.
Not that small, but small.
Well, I thought it was the biggest in that.
It is
New South Wales, right?
No, Sydney's in New South Wales.
Oh, I see.
I mean, Australia has only like 7 states or something, so I can't even. I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. We have 8, 9. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But so yeah, New South Wales is huge though. It's probably 2 times the size of Texas.
Yeah. They're really, really, really big. I was looking at like a scale map.
It's just that we're on a highway. So if you drive from Sydney to go anywhere, you go through my town, basically. And if you're driving across the country, you also go through my town. So that's why it's there. There's probably 50,000 people there still. There was when I grew up, and there still is. So it's kind of big. 50,000.
Yeah.
There's probably 5 high schools or something. 6 high schools. We knew everyone. You know what I mean? You kind of knew everyone in your own year a little bit.
Yeah.
It was big enough you didn't definitely know everyone, but you pretty much knew everyone.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty typical like suburb outside a major U.S. city. Like,
but there's nothing else nearby. You know what I mean? There are
right. Oh, nearby,
totally. But they might have like 1 or 2,000 people in them. So there's really like the 50,000 feels smaller than like a suburban town where there's other suburbs where you can actually go and do stuff.
Because
couldn't
it's
know
not
anyone to
like
do
part of the
anything.
metro, right?
Yeah. We were on a train, but it was like a
right.
like a rural line.
Right.
Right.
Interesting. Well, we don't know anything about trains in America because we just
No,
don't
it's
have
trash.
them.
It's the same in Australia.
Yeah.
Most of the infrastructure stuff, just as bad or worse.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it. I think infrastructure in a lot of places is bad where they don't tax the right people.
Yeah. I used to be. We lived out of town for a while, like just on the outskirts of town when I was like 18, and I would catch a bus to work because it was probably an hour walk or longer, and through the bush to walk. Like I had to walk through farms. I would like jump fences and walk through farms to get to work.
Jesus.
If I was gonna walk, that's how I'd have to do it. And I was the only person that ever caught the bus. I asked the bus driver once, "Am I the only guy that catches this bus?" And he was like, "Yeah, there used to be a lady, but she stopped catching it." So it was just
Wow.
me.
That's crazy.
I'd sit like up the back, play my Game Boy Advance.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
That's
And
like
they basically,
that's like a surreal existence.
yes, totally. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Walking through the bush to go to work versus being the only person on the bus is a crazy dichotomy.
It's both a bit surreal.
Yeah. So how did you get your start drawing? Have you, is it something you've done since you were a kid, or something you picked up later in life?
Yeah, I think it's the same story for most people, where it's just something you don't stop doing, right? That's
right. Okay.
That's it. Right? Everyone draws
Well,
when they're
it's like
kids, usually. Or maybe they don't, but I think they do. But then
I
some of
was
us
shitty at
don't stop.
drawing.
But did you?
I was
when
shitty
you
at
were a kid,
drawing.
though?
I painted miniatures,
Felt like you
which
were
I was
shitty
good
or
at,
whatever.
but I was not good at drawing.
No, but when you're
It's
really young, when you're like 5 to 10, you draw a lot.
oh
You're like
my
drawing
god, yeah.
For
Sonic.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
then we just didn't stop drawing. That's all. That's the only difference.
Okay.
Well, and people
And
tell kids that their stuff sucks too, so it's like,
right. You mentioned
Drawing.
paint earlier. Like, what is your preferred medium for the illustration that you do?
I usually use watercolor paint. It's not really paint.
Okay.
I guess it is really paint. I just use ink and watercolor. That's what I usually use. And I use
Nice.
a brush
So it's physical,
to
not
ink.
like
it's
you're
physical.
not. Yeah, you're not drawing on an iPad. Which no offense to that. No, I'm not meaning that. Different artists have different.
No, I think it's
mediums
actually
that they
fine
use.
now. There was some. I don't think there's any difference really, except you have a physical piece, which I like.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
as someone that
it's just another tool, but
totally, you're interested in clothing, which is a physical thing, and so it totally tracks in my mind that like a physical art piece is preferable to you.
I like how it takes choices away as well. You have like an edge of the page. You can't zoom in. So you have this like finite space, and then especially when you're coloring in digitally, I just sort of like go straight at you. Just pick a random color that's close to what you think you want. You just start doing it. But like when you're gonna slap a color on a page and you can't really take it back, you just sort of like stop for a second and you have to think, oh, okay, do I really want to do this color? And that's sort of amazing. Like making yourself make those choices is useful, I think.
Yeah, totally.
So I wanted to talk about your inspirations, and well, you have said in an interview you compared clothing to cartooning, which I thought was brilliant. Quote, "It's a very rich form of expression, but also one that people don't take too seriously." So to what you were talking about just now, could you tell us about some of the ways that you use clothing to communicate in your art?
Oh, in my art?
Yeah. Did you say you don't think you said that?
I'm sure I said it. I believe it.
It's a good point. It's a great point. I think, and when I read that in that interview, I was like, this is going to be a great interview. Because I found that quote and I was like, this is going to be a great interview because this guy thinks in an abstract way.
I agree with. I mean, I went to art school proper, like real art school too.
Not like, well, you went to
art school where they teach you any skills. I went to like art school where they teach you how to like think about stuff.
Yeah.
So you're just forced to think about stuff for the rest of your life if you do that, which is okay.
It's like
It's
a
okay. Wait, what was
worthwhile
the question?
burden. How do you use clothing to communicate in your
Oh,
art?
okay. So originally they were just two separate things for me. I mean, they're not really separate. You know, you're like art school kids, I think, are the best dressers.
Hmm.
And I would put myself in the
I think
past in the art school kid group. I'm not really an art school kid. I'm an art school kid at heart, but I don't look like an art school kid anymore necessarily. I'm old now.
because you wear suits a lot, right?
I wear suits or whatever. So and then on the other hand, I make comics, and
Right.
I think cartoonists can be good dressers. Some of my favorite cartoonists I think are good-ish dressers, but cartoonists have this because they draw everything. We have to like even more so than like a photographer or a filmmaker. You know, if you're drawing a room, you have to draw the door. And
Mhm.
if there's like an ironing board behind the door, you have to think, okay, there's an ironing board back there. I'm going to draw that. And then next to this, there's a dresser. And on the dresser, like, there's some books. And then I get to write what the books are. And then on the books, there's some other stuff. You know, you sort of have to really think a lot. So I think cartoonists pay a lot of attention to stuff
Yes.
when we're walking
Yes.
around. So I think we're the best observers, maybe. Not all
Yes. Yeah.
cartoonists, but I think cartoonists by default are very good observers. And I think clothing is good if it's a good way to send a signal. If you're an observer, you could see something and say, and sort of you make up these little narratives about people based on how they dress.
Hmm.
And so you could take that back on yourself as well and think, oh, okay, I can make little narratives up, or I could try to portray little narratives by dressing certain ways in certain situations or something.
Of
And then when
course.
people see me, maybe they'll think the things that I think when I see people dress certain ways or whatever.
That's why I do what I do, because I want the
Makes sense.
6-year-old to think that I am in charge.
Look at that guy. Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like,
I know what you're saying. We might be on different wavelengths. I want to be like, I want someone that's not from New York to see me on the train and be like, whoa, look at that guy.
he's
I'm in New York
local.
right now. I'm in New York.
That's what people ask me when people ask me for directions. I'm in New York. I'm like, ha, I
Feels
won.
good. Feels good.
Yeah, no. So I'm
You
not
know, to
saying
feel
like
like
I
part
want
of
to
the
masquerade
fabric.
as an authority figure. I'm saying to a 6-year-old, there's very limited perception. And the
Oh,
six
yeah,
year
yeah,
old sees
yeah,
the
yeah.
tie, the jacket, they see like the white man, they're like,
This guy.
he'll send us to the office. And I won't. And that's the secret.
But they don't know it. They've never tested it, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to punish anyone. I was punished plenty in my school days, and it didn't do me a fucking lick of good. So,
Yeah,
I didn't actually
um,
make comics about clothes for a million years. I just used to make autobio comics and whatever other
yeah.
stuff.
Well, that's
It's my
amazing
era.
because
That's my era, you know, the 90s, late 90s,
yeah,
2000s.
I
Elder
studied this
Gen
stuff in
X
college. Yeah,
or
you're not the
young Gen
first
X.
cartoonist that we had on.
Uh, who's
No,
the other
we had
cartoonist?
the cartoonist for The Economist on,
Oh, really?
who is a dear friend of mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like I think, because he's the only cartoonist I've known for a while. I mean, I've known some other people who are drawing cartoons, but like just a genius,
Yeah.
just a pure genius. And I think like people who have the ability to draw cartoons are like you're set in the brain category. I mean,
Interesting.
and well, this goes to one of the later questions actually. Like, so when I was a boy and I was dressing up my GI Joes, I was limited by the clothes that existed. But you, when you're outfitting people, you can do whatever the fuck you want over again, right? I mean, I guess in
Drawing
like
your
with the
little guys.
painting, kind of not so much, but just
Yeah.
amazing. So many choices that you have to make. Is there ever option paralysis?
Well, maybe I think it's the same as everything, you know. It's like driving, I guess. Not that I drive. I've already
I
said
was
that
gonna
on the
say you
podcast.
might not.
But like you could go anywhere, but you're just gonna go the same way you always go, you know. After a
yeah,
while, you get the hang of, especially with drawing. I think a lot of drawing cartoons or drawing anything is you develop this like language that you use personally or that you've copied. Usually you copy it off other people, and then after a while it just becomes your own language. And then, so you just learn how to draw certain things certain ways, and you just always draw those same things that same way. I think a lot of the time it's going to be the stuff that you engage with, because you can't really draw things that you don't understand. You could try, but it's
You
always
would
like,
fail.
have you guys,
You
does
would
it kill
fail.
you guys, or maybe you never notice that sport coats on animated characters always look terrible? Not like sport coats at all.
Oh
They're a
yeah.
bad representation of
They're
what
like
sport coats
weird
look like.
geometry.
It's like they button at a weird point, and I mean they don't have to exist as a real thing. You know what I mean? There's just like a symbol, especially
Right.
on like adult comedy cartoons. But they're always super short because it's quite hard to draw a sport coat that's going to like cover your whole bum and then just have like
Yeah.
little legs sticking out of the bottom of it. That's really hard to animate, I think. So you do need, especially for these more shapely characters like a Bugs Bunny sort of guy. But
Yeah.
it's weird. But I think that's just because the animators aren't engaging with that clothing, probably. Like
Right.
older cartoons are much better at it, like Bugs Bunny in a tux from like a Chuck Jones cartoon or something, which is not something that I know if it exists or not. But that's just an example I made up. But that would
I
be
was gonna
much cleaner. It
say
would look much
I'm
better.
nearly positive it exists. Yeah,
your
Maybe
nearly.
Tex Avery, but
your herringbone, for example. And
yeah,
like, I'm not an artist in this way. I can appreciate many different things as art that I do. I am not a traditional artist. It just isn't what it is. Like, my grandmother's an artist. She's extremely talented. I am not talented in that way. The herringbone that I've seen, it's always a little bit of it. And like, maybe this is obvious. I would have tried to do the whole thing and it would have looked like dog shit. So like, you have a
I'll do the whole
suggestion
thing.
of the pattern. And I
Yeah,
think that that is really brilliant.
I don't love doing really meticulous work, so
Yeah.
I like doing different parts of different things, and I could be meticulous about writing or pacing or something, but
Because the
like
copy
to
is
just like
good too,
draw
I
for like
wanted to say.
hours is just very difficult. It's
Yeah.
difficult for me to do, or it's not something that I engage with that well. I don't think so. You don't have to do it. I think it looks good. It can look good, like different textures. You know, same with dressing. Like
Yeah.
Slowboy does it really nicely. I think he draws every little detail on everything he draws.
Yeah.
The Chinese English guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think you're either gonna do every single fucking line or just hint at it. But you can hint at stuff. That's the secret. That yeah. In the 90s,
Well,
I mean, I
and
think we're all the same age, late 30s, or maybe I'm
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
facetious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
be
a
40.
young gun.
I'll be 40 next month.
You remember like the 90s comics boom that we grew
Yes.
up with, Matt,
Yes. Oh yes.
Yes.
which I was obviously influenced by, as I'm sure you were. So we're all like drawing Spawn in the back of our school books and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Those guys just like put so much detail into their drawings, unnecessary detail.
What is his
It's kind of
name? The
wrecked
Spawn
me.
guy?
Todd McFarlane.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But that, like, you don't need to do it. You know, you can just hint. Yeah. It's like interesting. Like to draw a shirt on a guy, drawing like if the guy's quite far away, I wouldn't draw like the center line to show, or the buttons on the front of the shirt.
Right. Right.
It looks too weird.
Yeah, and it's a perspective thing too.
But you have to
Like,
learn. You have to learn not to draw, what not to
Right.
draw as well.
Yeah. Well, it's.
But when you think of
I
a
feel,
shirt, you think, well, there's a line down the middle. I have to draw it because it's there.
right.
Otherwise, it's not a
Well,
shirt. It's like a sack. But you don't have
Can
to.
you extrapolate then from the drawings, like what not to wear? Because I think that a lot of people are using your style drawings, educationally, even.
Yeah. I think that's the intent of them as well, from me.
That's your intent.
And people who pay me too, I'm sure. That's why
Right.
they're paying me.
Yes.
But I think there's something there in a drawing which says, especially when it's not labeled, there's this like masculine energy to like collect things and be very exact about stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, I have this list of things and I just need to get everything on this list. Very specific things. I need this coin from 1942. I need this exact pair of sunglasses. But really, it doesn't matter. Any pair of sunglasses that looks kind of like that pair of sunglasses is going to be fine.
Right.
unless you
Right.
really and so I think drawing's useful for that because you can just draw. You can be quite vague, and people look at it and they don't think, "Oh, I need those exact pants." That you might think if you saw it, like a photo of someone wearing some jeans, you think, "Oh, okay, I could only look like that guy if I'm wearing those exact pants." But if it's just a drawing, you think, "Okay, I could wear blue pants and a red shirt and look fine." That sounds like a cool combo.
I I'm sad that I've
Does that
never
make
really
sense?
like. Yeah, it makes total sense, and I'm really like mad at myself for never kind of realizing that about fashion illustration.
Mm.
Like
Yeah, it's a
you know,
strength
yeah,
because it's symbolism.
it
It's
is.
not really the thing. Just like a bunch
It
of
really
lines and
is.
stuff.
You know,
I mean,
if you're
photography is also symbolism, but just less so.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
it's not
I mean,
reality either.
no, definitely not. And there are certain things about a photograph where like certain brands, designers, whatever, have a very like, oh, I can pick that out. But a lot of times, like photos, often, if it's not something, if it's a navy jacket, a pair of gray pants, and things done very well, it's like, oh, I can also see that, and that's where like your art comes in. It's like you're not throwing a label on something and being like, go buy this fucking pair of Levi's LVC pants. It's like, oh yeah, those are jeans. Like that's just like a genius way to think about it, which I'd never
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that thought, sadly.
Maybe you'll tire of us calling you a genius, but we're probably have like half an hour left. So
Well,
it,
maybe.
and I like honestly, I respect and have respected cartoonists my entire life.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there are teachers, there are social workers, and there are cartoonists. And those are
And
like the salt of the earth people who are guiding us through this terrible dark night.
Yeah, it's a crazy job.
I'm sure it is.
It's
I'm
it's
sure it
Did
it's
is.
you
and
like
it used to be
draw?
a real job. Like
Yeah,
people
Right.
well,
look for a
did you like
newspaper.
draw cartoons for the school newspaper, stuff like that? I mean,
We didn't have a school newspaper, but I did draw. I was in the year. I did draw cartoons in the yearbook and stuff, but not.
Oh, that's
I drew
cool.
like fucking. I drew like a Gen X team in my best, Scott Campbell, fucking late '90s. I would copy a lot of like Warhammer fantasy art, stuff like that. But really, in
see,
my
I was
heart,
up
I
on that
think
shit too. Yeah.
like when I was younger, I was really into just classic cartoons and
Mm-hmm.
classic animation, which really had a revival in the '90s and late '80s. So I think I
Totally.
was just
Mm-hmm.
lucky to be in that field,
Do,
But that
do
was
you still?
where once I was in art school, I was like, this is it, man. This is what I like. This is what I really like is these old cartoons. And so I started drawing more like that.
Hell yes. Do you have examples of your like early cartoons and things still? Not that we want
Oh,
you to send them
in
to us, but
Australia, maybe.
okay.
I don't think I have
It,
anything I would send. I had this
yeah, there's got
period after in the early thousands where I drew a lot of digital stuff, and it's all on like some hard drive or something somewhere.
right,
I
right.
was always on the internet. I had like a website.
Oh, you were a
Maybe in the
young
late
internet
'90s, I had the
user?
website. I was like an internet guy coding my own website and stuff. I had like a personal
That's
BBS that me and my friends used to use. We would
Yes.
chat to each other. They're like classic
Mm-hmm.
early internet. I mean, like I was on
Yeah.
4chan. You know,
Were you on something awful?
no,
Damn, see,
I
no
didn't like
one,
I didn't
man.
like something awful.
Why? It was like the much
I
it
don't
was
know.
like the much better
I don't know.
version of all of the other humor sites. It was moderated
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Low
and there was a
tax.
paywall.
There was a
Lotax
paywall.
died. Lotax died. Yeah, he
I
died,
might have
really.
been. Well, I might have been like aging out during something awful as well. I'm not sure though.
yeah. I
You
don't
might be a
remember it at
little
Early
all.
2000s, right?
it just was the whole internet nucleus, like the comedy of the internet was coming from there. On eBaum's World, on 4chan, it was all originating there.
I would go
Um,
there sometimes, but I wasn't like posting on. I mean, I wasn't posting on 4chan either.
I was
Yeah,
unfortunately involved. I mean, it cost $5, which at the time was like, I'm
I
gonna
probably,
pay.
I probably couldn't have joined from Australia. I don't know how I would have
right.
paid that $5.
Yeah.
Oh
Literally, I don't know
yeah,
how I
I
would have paid
wonder.
it.
I mean, I still live.
maybe I guess
PayPal wasn't
PayPal wasn't.
international back then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I still live by two
Yeah, I
simple
I
mean,
rules.
remember.
I have never paid for access to anything on the internet, and I refuse to. That is rule number one in my life. Rule number two is I never pay for parking. Like I will park a mile and a half away in Atlanta, Georgia, and walk
Georgia's
my
Atlanta.
ass to the fucking event that I'm going to, and I will never pay for parking. Those are my two simple rules that I live by. So
Matt is a
Tough.
person of the strangest but most rigid principles. I think it's
Have
so
to live.
charming. You know what I mean? What do you mean you're not going to pay for parking? It makes me furious every time I have to pay for parking because I'm like, you're taking my money, you're putting it nowhere. You're putting it into someone's pocket
Yeah.
almost for certain in this city.
Yeah.
And you want me to pay $5 an hour? It's not even like DC. DC is like a quarter gets you 8 minutes. I guess New York is insane too, but I don't want to deal with that shit.
We wouldn't pay for parking very often.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty random paying for parking. I don't know when we would do it.
I would just always get a
go
ticket.
that I would have to pay for parking. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a car spot. Yeah, right.
It's a car vibe.
Yeah.
So, Dick,
That's
you
the title
referred
of
to
the
yourself. You said a few minutes ago about kind of specializing in autobiographical comics early on, and now you're doing that. Now you're doing fashion illustration, but also I like part of the reason why Connor and I both love your artwork is because it's not super serious, and like you turn yourself and other people into cartoons, like a caricature.
It's still autobio.
So, what?
It's still autobio, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. Certainly,
because it's you,
I mean,
right?
Right. Yeah. A lot of what you do is autobiographical, but what is that like to turn yourself into a cartoon?
Oh, it's fun. I don't know. I've been doing it for so long. It's just felt like the only way to do it.
You have the most blasé answers. It's like it is a miracle, actually, that you were able to produce drawings that are good, right? Because a lot of people try to produce drawings and they are bad.
Well, you try for a long time.
Yeah, you've been at it your whole fucking life. You're an artist.
Back in the day, I had an autobio comic that I used to put out. I probably started it when I was in high school on my old website. That was just like me and my friends in that kind of webcomic era.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like gag strips. Probably horrendous. It's better that this stuff's unearthable, you know? I tried to find it. It's gone. I think a friend of mine has it cached. My friend who had the server, I think he has some cache of the server somewhere, but it's okay. I don't need to re-dig this stuff up. But I probably made 150 strips back then. I used to put them out 2 or 3 times a week, and they're all probably horrendous. But I've been doing autobio comics for at least that long. And
this guy thinks that they probably suck and they probably are good. You were a zine maker.
Yeah. Well, I discovered zines and I was like, yeah, this is it. I could do this, but comics. I could do that. So
fuck yeah.
Zines, comics. I mean, I was really pretentious in my high school years. Really obnoxious, I think.
Weren't we all?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I had like really long hair and I still ate meat, but I would get like veggie subs from Subway, no meat, because I was like,
oh god,
the veggie delight,
the veggie delight.
No, just veggies, just salad, like no.
Yeah, it's like if you ever wanted to put like an entire green pepper onto a piece of bread that they maybe made. Yeah, we've got it. It's happening. Yeah, it's like I like now that the meat is uncut.
Yeah, they have to slice it now. Those poor 16-year-olds,
Yeah. And they might. I mean, and Rahm Emanuel lost a finger at the Arby's, so It's
I've
dangerous
never
work.
been to Arby's. That's in my future. I'm gonna go
Well,
one day. I'm gonna
it's
go.
will actually go ahead. I'll tell you, it's amazing, and
There's
then
one
you can
nearby.
have the illusion. Really, and you
There's one
haven't
nearby.
been
I really haven't been.
on foot. You can walk over there. Do you
Well, it's
know
pretty a
this
long walk.
though?
It's a long walk. I could
Well, do you
ride.
know this? It's a pun.
Tell me. I can't even.
Arby's
I still don't know what the pun is.
roast beef.
I, I don't get it.
Arby's are roast beef.
Oh my god.
Arby. It's
Yeah,
You're spelling
very
out to me.
bad.
that's the worst
Yes,
It's
fucking
it's
like
pun
very
of all
bad.
time.
Arby's.
To call it a pun is generous, but it is technically correct.
Have you?
That's
There's actually a very Australian thing, where say the restaurant was called Arby's, like an R
Mhm.
and then a B and then a S. Um, like so we call McDonald's Macca's. I don't know. How many
Macca's,
people
which I love. I love
But-
Macca's. I call it Macca's.
Then you go to Macca's and it says Macca's. It doesn't say McDonald's.
In Australia, it says Macca's on the wall.
Not everywhere, but there's definitely McDonald's. The sign just says Macca's.
Oh
Well,
my
I
gosh.
discovered AccaDacca.
Yeah. What?
Amazing, amazing. And I
Oh, you
think
didn't
if
know
it's
about
true, no, I didn't know about AccaDacca. Matt knew about AccaDacca, which is ACDC, everyone, with the Australian rock band.
I thought everyone knew that. I didn't think that was even a.
I
No.
don't. I don't know
I had
how.
no clue.
I don't know how I knew it. I feel like maybe I've had an Australian say that to me before, but like deep in my stupid fucking brain, that the little person in my head found that in a filing cabinet, and I was like, oh yeah, like AccaDacca. Okay.
AccaDacca. They played in my hometown in like 1977.
Oh
Wow.
Some like terrible pub, and my dad was there. A lot of people I knew were there, but it was.
shit, dude. I have to
There's probably
say,
50 people there.
I don't know what it is with this week, but ACDC has come up in conversations that I have had, or like in various circumstances, basically every day for the past week. I don't know how. I mean, I like it, some ACDC, but this just keeps
The
fucking.
ghost of Bon Scott.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it just
I'm not
keeps.
I'm Australian, but I'm not like crazy for
Yeah,
AC/DC.
like I enjoy them, but like somehow ACDC has come into my consciousness every single fucking day this week, and it's weird as hell. Just had
It's
to-
hard to have a.
His voice is just too silly, I think.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
like.
Radio Birdman are way better than AC/DC for like Australian bands.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean
They're out there. They're playing.
Saints.
We talked about Silverchair on this program.
I'm a huge Silverchair fan. In case that's not obvious, at least Frog Stomp. I kind of gave up. I kind of stopped caring after that.
Yeah, when they were teenagers, that's cool.
Yeah,
I think
dude,
that was cool.
like,
They're
yo,
from a
you're
really
50
shit town too.
You're 15
All my
years
sisters live
old.
in that town.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
Yeah, okay, that
Well,
makes
not a lot.
sense.
I got a lot of
Like,
sisters, but
You're 14 and 15 writing Pure Massacre and Shade, which is,
awesome.
fun
So
fact,
good.
the first guitar solo that I ever learned when I was like 16.
Wow.
Or maybe 15. I don't remember. But yeah, like Australia's produced some fucking great bands. A bunch of hardcore bands that like I played with over the years too.
Yeah, a lot of music somehow.
So a question was either dodged or I didn't ask that I would like to get an answer for out of my personal life. Not necessarily my personal life. We try to be educational on the show. And so you, an expert mixer of patterns and colors, how do you do it? Do you have like rules? Does stuff just look good to you? I think that's going to be your answer, but
For what? For
so
clothes
for
or
pattern mixing for clothing, right? When you're drawing somebody, do you say, I'm going to make this thing really colorful, bright pattern, and then everything else will be demure? Like, do you have a system? Do you just do what feels good?
So it depends. It depends. In a drawing, it depends on what the job is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If it's for a client and they're paying me, I'll like just work it out. You know, I like work on it. Just do like a bunch of sketches. I like scan my black and white sketches in, and then I do color tests digitally. or with color pencils. Sometimes I come up with a color scheme before, or sometimes they have things they want you to color certain colors,
And
so
you
you're just sort
draw
of
like,
locked to whatever they want you to draw. But
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
if you have a bit more of a free reign, yeah, I have like a color palette that I've just kind of developed accidentally, not super intentionally. And because I use watercolors, I've got like physical paints, and so they exist. So I can't really step outside of the colors that exist too far. Do you know what I mean?
You
Especially there's
can,
like a warm yellow that I really like.
yeah,
Like yeah, but I like primary colors. I like bright colors. I actually find I dress more like my cartoons now than I used to. I probably would have
yeah.
dressed more somber once, and now because I like bright colors, because I think I like classic cartoons and comic books and stuff. I like bright, flat colors. I find that I dress more in bright, flat colors as well.
It's a good way to dress. I think it's like, I don't know, if you have, for example, like you have your brown corduroy jacket, but you have a yellow sweater, like that's a nice look.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not being too in your face.
But even sillier, I think if you've made a drawing, you really think about it a lot, and then you're like, yeah, okay, I could wear like purple pants with like a plaid jacket. That's fine. It seems totally okay to me.
So do you have stuff that you draw that you can't buy?
Not usually. Sometimes, but I have so many clothes, Connor.
Yeah. How
So many.
many? How many clothes do you have? You got two
How many?
clothing racks, one
How
clothing rack.
many? Two.
Yeah.
Two.
Two clothing racks? I've got two clothing racks. I mean, I thought there's a lot of clothes. It probably is a lot of clothes.
Two. Two. I've got my suits in one closet, takes up the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
most of my suits are on hangers by themselves, and then jackets and stuff. I've got some stuff doubled up.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I've got like
I've
shirts.
just
All
started
my shirts are
doubling up
doubled
the
up. I've got like
shirts.
6
Yeah.
shirts on every hanger, and I probably have 80 hangers. I've got an insane amount of shirts. And then my pants are
Wow.
also doubled up. And then I've got like things folded.
I that's
Uh,
impressive cuz I limit myself to thrifting for the most part. Like I don't really buy stuff cuz
Me too.
I'm poor.
I'll
But
buy stuff,
like
but not very often.
yeah. I just like I feel like now I'm at a point like both of the clothing racks are full. If I add something, it would be wise to take away something. But I don't
I
know.
don't play
How
by
do you
those rules.
choose? How do you choose?
I think that's a loser's game. Just
It
collect
is a
stuff.
loser's game. It's definitely a loser's game.
Love having
Losers.
stuff.
Yeah,
Having
it's
stuff
like the
rules. People are
one
always like, "Oh, I
joy.
hate having stuff." It's like, are you joking? It's fine.
It,
Having stuff is great.
it's the
It's
one
I,
joy
so
that our
good.
capitalist overlords allow us is to buy,
Oh,
buy, buy, baby.
so nice to have all this stuff.
uh,
And then you like
I,
discover it again, and you're like, "Oh wow, look at that shirt, man! I remember when I bought that shirt."
And I didn't wear it one time,
And you put
and
it
I
on,
have
you're like,
not
"Woo,
worn
the
it.
shirt is tight."
Yeah,
And then you put
yeah,
on the shirt you were wearing yesterday.
yep,
But
yeah. It's the agony of whatever it
what are you gonna
is.
do? I find too, I'm in like a lucky, well, lucky. I'm in like a position where because I worked in fashion now for so long, in retail as well as
Yeah,
now in the other end of retail or whatever. Um, I have like a lot of friends that were clients or clients that are now friends, and I can like I do work for clothes. Not always, but I can do work for clothes. So swaps, the trade barter system is well and truly alive, And so
yes,
you could
yes.
I could get stuff
noted.
that I would feel very. I mean, ironically, I would probably sometimes ask for the same amount of money as like a new bespoke suit for something that I'm doing that they would give me a bespoke suit for. But if the money was never exchanged, it doesn't feel like it was exchanged. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not paying
Well, it's
thousands
like
of dollars for
spending
this thing, and
cash.
you're not paying thousands of dollars for this thing, so it's fine. It's
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
right. What's a
I
little
get
deal
something,
between
you need
friends?
something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The swap.
What's a little barter between compatriots?
It's a treat. And then, so, yeah, you just end up with cool clothes. Clothes that you like. But thrifting is fun. Thrifting is such a treat. And I used to buy trash all the time. And now I just buy, I feel like I'm an expert thrifter. You guys are also probably expert thrifters. And I just
The
love it. I'm
creme de
like,
la
yes, that's
creme.
it. That's what I'm going to buy. But I know it when I buy it. I never think about stuff anymore, or very rarely.
Right.
Matt is
I just
definitely
buy it. Like, I'm like, oh, that jacket's $350. That's a lot for that jacket. But then you think, but it is a jacket I've been looking for. It's actually a good price. I'll just buy it. I buy it every time now. I mean, I don't buy it every day, but every time because it's too many times I've gone back and it's been gone, and then you think about it for years.
Oh yeah,
looking for that jacket again.
Do you have one? Do you have a thing that stands out to you? Sorry, Matt, are you trying to say something?
No, no. I like the white whale question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything right now, so I have no white whales.
Nothing that you're seeking? Nothing? You can't have all of that stuff and not be seeking a better version of at least one piece, right? Yeah, see what you're
like. I'm not like, I'm not desperately. I'm not like on eBay every day looking for stuff.
Right.
They have done something to eBay that has made it way more compelling. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Do you know what I'm talking about, Matt?
I've
always been into it. I've been buying shit on eBay since I was in middle school. But now it's like, I'm looking for shit. I'm buying shit.
I don't know.
No,
I'm very weird about buying stuff.
You guys talk about Ralph Lauren a lot. Everyone talks about Ralph Lauren, right?
Yeah.
There's this thing where I think that Ralph Lauren stuff, especially on the thrift store rack, I could pick it out now straight away.
Totally. Yes.
Because they look like the best plaids. They look like what you'd think a plaid shirt should look like. But like a real plaid shirt from the same era never looks as good as a Ralph Lauren plaid shirt from like 1999. Because they do something. Their colors are better. Their cloths are amazing. Even if the fit's not right or whatever. But so, yeah, I just buy like a lot of Ralph Lauren stuff, I feel like. Because it looks so
You're on the right program then, because we were going to change the name to the Ralph Lauren Den. Which only
like
runs...
the trousers.
Yeah.
Like on eBay, they're cheap. They're great quality. Even brand new. You can buy them on sale. It's just it's the best store, I think.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Good.
It really is. We just hit our contractually obligated Ralph Lauren quotient for the show. We're huge fans.
Used to work there. I didn't used to work there, but
I never worked there. I interviewed, and the manager of the Atlanta store was such a fucking asshole to me about the job, and I knew 5 people that worked there that all recommended me, and she was like, yeah, your answers in the interview were not up to par. And I was like, go fuck yourself, dude. I know more about Ralph than you could ever possibly wish to know, and I can't sell it. Go fuck yourself.
Salty.
Still salty about
that.
They
made me work in the stock room at the J. Crew outlet. Because and I was like, listen, I can sell this shit. I'm wearing this stuff. I know what it's about, but they did not like me for some reason. I don't know what the reason was. I can't think of any reasons.
Reasons I work for myself.
White whale.
Yeah, what? Here it is.
I have one. Well, it's not that big a white whale, but I've been looking for this for years. Like a Burberry trench, double-breasted. With the button-in lining, and the lining is check. The lining's the plaid, so not a zip-in liner. The button-in liner, and then it's got to have the pockets with the flaps. Not the through pockets with the buttons. Do you know what I mean?
So you got all the cool details.
The pockets with the flaps. I don't think they ever did a throat latch under the collar, but I would like a throat latch if they ever did that. Obviously, it has to have a belt. I don't really care if it has the patch on the chest or not, but
what do you think about? I worked for this haberdashery, and we would get in weird shit sometimes. One of the weird things was it was like a full wax cotton suit, not like a business tailoring suit,
like a 2-piece.
It was like extreme bush clothing. It was Yeah, it was like Orvis, but like apocalyptic Orvis. So I didn't know if that was like a common like bush guy outfit. Like, here's my wax cotton dungarees.
Do you know the jacket? There is one wax cotton jacket that is like
Yeah,
common.
I know the jacket very well.
The
Yeah.
duster, right?
Yeah. It's by the brand is called Dry as a Bone.
Yep.
Huh.
It's like
Yep.
big. It's got like a big rain
Because it
flap
has the
on the
double.
shoulder.
Yeah, it has exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Farmers wear them, and it's the. I mean, I was never around farms that much, more than you guys maybe, if you were never around farms at all, you know. But I wasn't like on a farm every week or anything. But I have a friend who grew up on a farm, and he would say that the shearers, especially when they would come, in the winter, they would just wear stubbies, like the shortest shorts, shorter than your underwear. I'm sure.
Mhm.
Unless you're a tidy whitey man like me, like the shorts just stop where your legs start. That's how short these
Isn't
shorts are. And these guys wore them all year round, and they would wear boots, shorts, and like probably a flannel shirt in the cold, truly
Right.
cold mornings, and then a fucking big dryzer bone over the top, which is full mid calf, like almost.
Yeah.
full
Oh, yeah.
So you see like a bit of skin, the shin is showing, and it just looks like you're completely naked with boots
Dick?
on under this
Why?
huge.
Why haven't you drawn this?
I don't know.
You
That's
should.
Maybe I
like
have. Maybe I don't think I have.
Can you draw
that's
this
like
for
number one
Yeah.
image. Yeah.
What the question is? What would you charge us for a commission of this solely for this episode of the podcast?
Because that's the Apocalypse Duds mascot right there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy. I'll just draw it.
Yeah.
I'll draw it.
All right, sick. So this leads into my next question, which I had to ask because I love these, and they are from Australia.
Oh, I know where this is.
Were these? You know where this is going?
Yes.
Okay.
Bloodstones.
Bloodstones. What? How funny is it to you that like
Bloodstone.
every motherfucker in New York owns a pair of Bloodstones, which I think are personally amazing fucking boots. And I know there's an Australian maker that still makes them in Australia, but they're ugly as sin. They're not quite the same. I can't remember the brand.
Redback.
Redback. Yeah, I have tried to buy and tell myself that Redbacks look, and you know, I know they're going to be as comfortable, they're going to be as cool as Bloodstone's wearing. Every time I look at them, I'm like, I can't fucking do it. So, how funny is it to you? How funny is it to you? Is the question.
That was like one of the. I don't think Australia is like a super stylish country necessarily. We put out some cool stuff, or country. I mean, like the cities. I don't think the cities are that stylish necessarily compared to like I think New York is a great style city. Of course, everyone knows that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think Sydney is that good a style city. It's okay, but it's not that good. But Blundstones were very popular with the art school kids.
Sure.
Always popular. No, I didn't like them because everyone wore them. That's how popular they were. And probably I went to art school twice. I went once in like 2004 and I dropped out, and then I went again in 2014 and I finished. But Bloodstones were popular the whole time throughout there.
Yeah.
Definitely popular in the 2014, and like really cute girls would wear Bloodstones.
Right.
With, like,
I know. Yeah.
Like
it's a great
pants,
look.
like they do now.
Yeah.
You know? But no one else was wearing them back then. It was like only art school girls wore Bloodstones, and they'd like clump around in the ceramic studio or whatever. But it was fun to see what I considered an Australian art school staple migrate to America somehow. Almost the exact same time I moved over here. It felt like they existed and were pretty popular by 2014 when I moved here.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Does that sound right? It was probably a few years before that. Maybe people like going to Australia discovered.
I want to say I bought my first pair at a place in the East Village in like the winter of 2011, maybe 2012. I can't remember. But like, dude, I wore them.
They got bought by like an Italian company.
Yeah.
Around that time, so they were probably like exporting them more, you know.
Yeah, they were so, like on sale, and they were like $120. whatever. And like,
Oh,
I
dude,
wore those.
they were like $60 in
Yeah,
Australia in
yeah,
2015. 60 Australian dollars,
right,
tax
Wow.
right.
included.
Yeah, I
That's
want
like
a
what,
pair.
$40?
That's like 40 American dollars
Right.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wore my pair so like I have never seen a more destroyed pair of Bloodstones than the ones that I sadly threw away when I moved last year.
I've
And
seen
like
some. I've seen some.
dude, they were. I mean, I wore
Matt
them.
does impossible things. Matt
I
does
do. I
impossible
do.
things.
I probably wore them, at least like 3/4 of the days in a year at some point or another for almost 9 years. And they were just toasted. But like I can't bring myself to pay retail for a pair now. And I wish
Yeah,
I
they're like
could.
$200 now, right?
Yeah, they're like $200
Yeah,
and
they're
like
crazy. That's why I haven't. That's why I haven't bought a pair, because
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
has them and they're expensive.
I mean, they're fucking
So
fantastic.
yeah, they seem tight. My cousin is a UN guy, and he goes to like places on Earth that are dirty, at least, and messy, and he swears by the Blundstone.
They're
I
real.
think
I mean, do you know
7
R.M.
or 8
Williams?
piece.
I
Yeah,
do,
Well,
I do.
do you know they're
I was gonna
really
mention this. They're fucking incredible.
they
yeah,
really
those
like
are
that's
beautiful
really
shoes.
like everyone wears those shoes. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like you
yeah,
say,
those are really
everyone wears
amazing.
Blundstones, which they kind of do, but in Australia, like R.M. Williams became, they weren't really when I lived there. They were popular, but again, just amongst the saddle friggers and their
Right.
dads.
The saddle
Um,
friggers.
but and I mean, I think it's a cool brand. I always liked it, and I always had a pair because I like kind of playing country in the city a little bit.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah,
totally.
that's a weird
They're
thing, though,
very
right? Like,
popular now. They're very, very popular. Like
yeah,
that's like the prime minister would wear them. It's like the only dress
hmm
shoe. They're like
Right.
the penny loafer of Australia.
the penny loafer of
Like
Australia. We're
truly, and
writing
it's
that
not.
one
They're
yeah.
down.
not considered like a cowboy shoe. They're just like a dress shoe.
Yeah.
Right,
Like
right.
no one
Which I
sees you
mean,
and
they.
thinks, "Oh, you look like a cowboy." They just think, "Oh, you're just wearing your RMs. That's just a shoe. That's like your
Totally.
nice shoe. That's." And no one would have any
Yeah,
other nice shoes. Only the RMs.
I have
yeah.
Worst.
I have a vintage
Yeah.
acquaintance in Australia. I can't. He may be in Brisbane. But he is a
I
vintage
definitely
collector.
don't know him.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not.
Or maybe.
Yeah, yeah. But he has a collection, that he posts and like he buys and sells too. But he posts a lot of like old vintage, like R.M. Williams stuff and like Levi's shit that was made in Australia, and various other clothing that was produced there. Like it's so cool to me to see that because like I know R.M. Williams, I know Blundstone. I really have no other like connection to things that are made in Australia, but like there's a bunch of cool shit that has been over the years.
Yeah. The other thing is this T-shirt by an underwear company called Bonds with a D. Bonds,
Okay.
like Bonds. And it's just like a ringer tee, like a tight ringer tee. But they were like very popular. Bonds tees were like the classic. So if you see any Australian band, especially in that 70s, 80s period, but through the 90s, everything. Maybe not in the 90s when shirts were really baggy, but everyone was wearing Bonds tees.
Oh, that's
They're
cool.
raglan sleeve, raglan,
Ooh,
and people would like print stuff on them. The Bonds
right,
tee is like a real classic, and they were always made in Australia until the 2010s or something.
right. Man, I'm gonna have to seek
And
one of
skin
these out.
tight,
Yeah.
skin tight, and you see like the fattest old man wearing like a yellow one, super big belly, little shorts, big socks, long socks, knee-high socks, little dress shoes, cute man, tucked in,
Wow.
Sounds
So
sideburns.
So I was going to talk about Waltzing Matilda, but I'm not going to. I think it's an amazing song. I
It's a
think it's
classic.
it's amazing that like the unofficial national anthem of a country is this song about this kind of badass guy who kills himself to escape being pursued by the pigs, you know? And it's like in America,
I mean,
we don't
no
have
one
songs
ever
like
gets
that.
to the end of that song. You only sing the first verse, and then you just let it
Right.
eat around.
I mean,
Right,
it's
right.
that is not so different than the Star Spangled Banner, which no one knows the
Every
other
national
verses
anthem's
to.
like that. No one ever knows
Yeah.
the second verse of any national anthem.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
wish-
killed
Second
them
verse.
because we wanted to. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So the last thing I was going to say, amazing slang, very rich, very clever stuff. I was reading some examples and I was thinking, is this Australian payback for years of penal servitude that we're all saying these insane slang terms like they are real? Like, quote, Tucker for meal? Have you got any others? I think I was reading your comics with everyone speaking with an English accent, and now I'm reading them with an Australian accent, and I like it a lot better.
I forget, you know. I mean, I know a lot, and we say
Because
them
I
all
don't
the
want to
time.
be like you, the one Australian person I've ever talked to in my life, you know, but it's like you are a clever person, and so I'm sure you have good slang.
You're our one Australian
There's a
friend.
lot of
That's
the only
what it is.
Australian. There's a lot
I
of
asked my
rhyming.
Australian friend about this interview, actually, to prep for this interview, because I was like, I want to really razz him about some
You get
shit.
any good slang?
From Alex. Alex is a PhD at Johns Hopkins. Extremely smart, very clever. No slang. He didn't give up any slang. He said
slang?
that, well, we could talk about the voice vote, you know, that's where that came from, of course. So, like, he approved the intro. So,
Well, I think the best one, and an English guy told me this, but I'm pretty sure it's Australian. But I remember learning it from an English guy, is we're not here to fuck spiders. That's a classic. We are not here to fuck spiders.
wow.
You can figure out
So
what
that's
it means.
the title. That's the
Okay,
title of
yeah.
the episode.
Yeah, we're not here to fuck spiders, which are comically massive in Australia from my very arachnophobic.
So maybe you could, but
Yeah, maybe you could.
that's not
Dude,
why we're here.
I don't want to. I don't want to dip into tropes about Australia. It seems like a beautiful country. I would love to see it one day.
I think
Minus
they're all true.
The 9,000-hour flight.
Seems dangerous.
Actually, you know, I was there 1 year ago. Everyone has mullets. Not ironic. You know how people have mustaches now? Not ironic.
Yeah.
You know how mustaches. We all had ironic mustaches in like the late 2000s. Now everyone has mustaches. Their mustaches are somehow they graduated from being ironic to just being something that they have.
Yeah,
And now they look good. You agree? I mean, you can have a mustache now.
Totally. Yeah, you
used to be
definitely
able to
can.
have a mustache.
No,
In like
you
2005, you couldn't have a mustache unless you're a baseball player.
Or my father that has been rocking a mustache since the late 70s, and when he shaves it, he looks so weird that like multiple times in my life, my mom has been like, "You got to grow that back. You look weird." So
it makes kids cry. It makes kids cry. Like if the dad shaves off the mustache, the kid is like, who's this person? Right, exactly.
Pretty different.
I mean, and you're right though. And I mean, I wish I could have a mustache, but mine is bifurcated.
It's pretty weak, dude. It's pretty weak.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah. So,
I mean, I lived in
New York like that now. Mullets, truly unironic. Everyone has a mullet, not a fashion mullet, just a mullet. Everyone has a real mullet. Everyone has them. They're not. I mean, they're coolish, but it's just it's a truly. I was like,
now that everyone has them, it's whack. It's like,
no, it's cool. It's good. Not because I come back here and I'm like, oh wow, that's really looks like I'm in Australia. You know,
right?
Walk in there and everyone's got mullets. It's like this is sick. Yeah, I want a mullet. You know, I've grown my hair out a bit longer in the back now.
Well, I've got it. I mean,
let's do it.
You just got to cut the sides back a bit.
Yeah. You gotta get the party. You have to get the party equally distributed. It can be party front, party back. You know, your choice.
Party everywhere. I'm
party everywhere.
I'm sorry.
Oh no! I was just gonna say I am an animal person. I love animals. I am vegan, as we discussed earlier. The insanity of animals and insects and various non-human life from Australia solely makes me never want to visit Australia ever.
I would go. Yeah, I would go. I'm not worried about it. If a snake kills me, then that would be appropriate.
I don't want to see the biggest spider that I've
St.
ever
Patrick's
seen
Day
in my life.
revenge.
Yeah.
They are around, you know. The snakes are
Yeah.
around. You
Oh,
see them.
Yes.
Like it's not.
I-
Yeah,
I-
especially in the summer. Where I grew up in the summer, there are a lot of brown snakes, like the most deadly snake. There are a lot.
Yeah.
Like you see them, you know, not every day, but if I was like when I was walking to work, like we were saying earlier, through the
Right.
paddocks, I would see
Popping the-
snakes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes they like lay out on the clay in the sun, and you can see like sometimes dozens of them. Just
Oh,
like truly
maybe I
scary amount.
redact it. The idea of a
big
dozen
spiders. You see
the
big
idea of a
spiders
dozen
all the time.
snakes does not
Yeah.
appeal to me really.
It's really the spiders that kill it for me. Like if I saw a spider in person, the size that I've seen in some videos from Australia, I would simply just
Huge.
like
like as big as your hand, bigger than your hand.
Well, it's like you don't want a pussing abscess from any reason.
They don't bite.
Right?
Yeah. They don't bite.
Yeah.
The big ones don't, but there are pussing abscess givers.
There's that. Have you seen that little guy? He lives only on the east coast near Sydney, and
My
he builds
skin
a
is
little trap.
crawling.
Trap to a spider. We have good names for them too. He like
Hell
fully
yeah.
lays it. He lays the fucking his web on the ground so that he can feel it when someone gets near it, and then he builds a little hole in the ground, and then he builds a perfectly camouflaged roof.
Yeah,
And
go
then he
fuck.
pops up out of the roof and attacks, and then pops back down. And
I
that
feel
guy is
something
very
crawling
deadly.
on my back right now.
Fuck
and I don't
all
like
the
that.
way off. Like, yeah, thank you, Dick, for contributing to my
It's not
nightmares
that bad.
tonight.
It's not that bad.
You say
Yeah.
this as someone
You just
you're
kill
awake.
them. You just kill them.
Yeah. Oh god damn it. I'm gonna have a nightmare
Just
about that
you
tonight.
get an axe and you cut the snake in half.
Yo, if there's a
We
spider
used to
that
kill
you
the
need to
spiders with WD-40.
You call your uncle. I mean, you're probably on your uncle's farm if you're seeing a brown snake anyway, and you say, "Trent, there's a brown snake. Go and get the shotgun." And he goes to all the
Trent.
different parts where the shotgun are. He puts the gun together, and then he goes and shoots the snake. It's a trick.
I have
Because you
never
don't want
been
the snake to bite the dogs.
No. I have never been
And now
convinced
it
that
really ruffle Matt's feathers.
Australia is the southeast of the rest of the world. I'm fully convinced because this is the scenario that would happen
Truly.
on some any
Or you
rural
can just live
farm.
in the city.
You could just live in the city,
Right.
Yes, yeah. The
You
city,
just live in
the city is where the shit is.
Yes. There are like big. There are some. There's still big cockroaches and stuff. But
Yeah, cockroaches and like New York rats. You don't have to kill with an axe, so I'm cool with them.
rats, really big
Pussing
lizards.
abscess. Pussing abscess.
Have you seen how
Anyway.
big the lizards are?
Yeah.
Anyway, Dick, thank you so much. This has really been a pleasure. I knew that it would be pretty good.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Sorry for rambling.
No, dude, we went on so many tangents that like is kind of what the show is about on a sub level. It was hilarious and definitely one of the funnier episodes that we've had. So Connor and I are mostly funny people,
agreed.
so we appreciate you coming on. We always like to give the guest a chance to shout out what they want to, so have at it.
I have no shout outs.
No shout. What is your website? What is your Instagram handle? Where can people see your work?
My website is dickcarroll.com. CARROLL. And my Instagram is dick, period, like a dot, Carroll.
Awesome.
CARROLL.
Yeah,
Easy.
definitely.
I finally got that.
I
finally got that URL this year.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Nice.
We'll have to
gotta
talk
be
after this.
Some
'cause I'm
guy
curious
owned it
about
for a
the
million
website.
years, but now I got it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Everyone go follow Dick and check out his fucking fantastic artwork. Keep up with him.
Thank you.
Of course. Once again, thanks for coming on. If you have questions, comments, concerns, apocalypseduds@gmail.com, @apocalypseduds on Instagram. I am Matt Smith @Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Fowler @Connor Fowler.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Bye.